Well, everybody, welcome back to Freedom Formula. Today, I have a very special guest down East Coast, which is nice. I got to interview somebody recently all the way out in the West Coast. I'm like, he's from California. Like, I'm Jersey. I don't. You and I, we're different coasts, different breeds. Ended up being a good conversation, but I'm excited to talk to somebody East Coast down in Virginia, outside DC area. Marcel, welcome to the show, man. I'd love for you to just share who you are, what got you here. Just give us a little bit of background about what has made you you. And we were talking a little bit about a book, and I think that this is probably going to lead into the idea of that book, which I'm totally ordering today by end of day, by the way.
Oh, I appreciate it, Steve. Thanks for having me on your show first and foremost. I'm out here on the outskirts of Washington D.C. In a place called Manassas, Virginia. I've been an entrepreneur for over 2 decades now, so I have a lot of deals in place. I own a commercial cleaning company. I just closed a deal with Marco's Pizza for a 3-unit deal. I've been in real estate development for over 2 decades as well, so I do a lot of condos in Washington D.C. area. Just entrepreneurship is my wheelhouse, but I'm also a father of three, great friendships all over the place. What we call DMV, District Maryland and Virginia, DMV native. So I'm well versed in a lot of different things, and I'm just trying to put my knowledge out there to the world. And like you said, I just dropped this book, Hiding in Plain View. So I really want people to go out, take a look at it, buy it. I think it's a game changer, and hopefully I'll be able to turn that book into a movie soon. So I'm here to try to make it all happen, Steve.
I love it. I love it. You said you've been doing real estate for over 20 years. Looking at you out of the gates, if you said how old do you think I am, I wasn't gonna guess like 40s and older, which is what that statement led me to believe. Which is outside of normal. How old are you, dude?
I'm 52, and it's that health part that you're talking
52?
about. Yeah, man.
Come on.
But yes, I mean, I'm like you, Steve. You looking jacked over there too. I'm in the gym. Like that's the most important part. There you go. Look at it, flex it. Yeah, man. I try my best to take care of myself. From every angle possible, health wise. In the gym, eat my foods correct, eat the right nutrition, and really to take care of myself mentally. So that's one of those keys to longevity that I think that everybody should really focus in on.
100%. 52. All right. I was, even as I was going down that road, I'm like, man, this guy's already in his 40s. He doesn't look that way, but 52.
Yeah, man, I
Well,
love the numbers.
that's fantastic. Well, one of our three pillars here is health, right? And that's something that I think, especially entrepreneurs, people who are out busy, maybe maybe not the ones that are in the health industry per se, but I just think entrepreneurs, especially people who are grinding and doing, let go of their health too frequently.
Hmm.
Like, what talk to me about what healthy looks like for you? What do you do? What's the routine look like? And when did you fall in love with that? Like, for me, consistency was not a thing until, a little older in life. And I was like, man, it's not about being awesome. It's about being consistent. So like, I want to hear that story.
Yeah, I just really appreciate the time. My time in the gym is therapeutic. So I love being in there because when I'm dealing with stressful situations, I can actually think through them, put the headphones on, understand my routine, and I can get after it. A normal day for me, mostly at least 3 to 4 times a week, I'm in the gym on physical training. I try to mix in. I definitely have a cardio part of that routine, but I also try to mix in maybe golf or basketball with friends on one of those days. And that's like the core of what I do. Normally now at 52, I'm usually full body every single time I'm in the gym. So I'm in there for maybe 2 hours. But yeah, I fell in love with it because it was my favorite and it still is. It's my favorite outlet. It's just a time in my space where I can just do me. I could think through some things strategically. I'm hitting the body really hard. And like when you walk out of the gym, I feel accomplished already. It's just this feeling that it gives me. I'm like, okay, great way to start my morning. And it just gets the ball rolling. And I've always appreciated that feeling. And yeah, cosmetically it's beautiful too, but we all want to take care of ourselves. We want to age appropriately. That's a part of it. You just have to stay active. And some people don't want to do the gym. Okay, well, are you hiking? Are you running? What are you doing? You swimming? Whatever it is, it's just that you just need to incorporate that into your lifestyle. I think a lot of times, especially in this society where everybody wants to market something to you, they want to pitch this whole quick way to lose weight and get in shape. We all know it's not. It's lifestyle. You have to really be dedicated to it consistently, and the only way that happens is you have to love it. I love lifting weights. I love being in the gym. Like, it's just, I like being in there, so it works for me. I always encourage people, find what works for you.
Yeah, I like the way you put that a lot. Like, and it really comes down to the idea of aging, in a good way. Where I always say, and like my, some family members, and you see it and everything like that. It's like, oh, they're getting old, and I'm like, well, yeah, they're getting older by age, but they're physically getting older because they're not moving anymore. It's not
Hmm.
that getting old is making them not move. It's the actual other way that's happening. And people in their 30s are already getting like back pains and all these issues and aches, and because they're not doing a thing. And to your point, it doesn't have to be falling in love with lifting. I love my lifting, trust me. Like, throw some iron around, and like, you feel better on the other side. You walk in, and I put a story up on Instagram a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, just one of those days, like, man, I didn't win. It was just, you go to bed, you wake up, you still have that funk. And I took a picture of the dumbbell, and it was like, me, I have feelings. Dumbbell, now you don't. And like, you feel better after you throw that thing around.
Absolutely.
So, um, but like, what was the thing that triggered it for you? Because I don't think, at least for me, I grew up and like the gym and fitness wasn't a part of life. Like, I did some sports and everything there, but I didn't get serious about that consistency until in my like mid to late 20s. And it almost happened in a world where, like, man, it's not necessarily about how I look, but rather how I feel, that mental side. And then weirdly, the looking stuff just came along with it. It was like, oh, when I don't focus on the thing, I get the thing. That's weird. But like, what was your trigger to kind of get you in? Because there are a lot of people that struggle with staying consistent in their life with their health.
Oh, it was pure vanity.
I love it.
Listen, man, I was, especially in my early 20s, I wanted to look good for the ladies. I was like, hold up. I was a little skinny. I was like, I need to put on some weight. And it was just like, again, once I started seeing the results, I was like, okay. And then people start complimenting you. You like, okay, yeah, and
Yeah.
it just snowballs. Then you want to keep it, right?
Yep.
You want to look good. And like you said, as I aged, then I really started to understand the benefits of taking care of myself, my body, and me mentally, physically, and spiritually. It came along. But yeah, totally, I was just trying to look better. Like, I wanted to look better in my clothes. I didn't want to look sloppy. And I tell people this, often, that when, especially in a leadership role, people gravitate towards people that look like they have it together. I'm
Yep.
not knocking anybody that's overweight out there. I'm not saying anything like that. What I'm saying is, people gravitate towards fitness when somebody looks like they're in shape. It 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 projects a message of that person has it together. People love that. That's what they when they're looking at a leader, they want to see somebody that they will follow. When you looking like a soldier, they're like,
Yeah.
hey, I'm falling in line. Plus, like, again, people, they don't give you as much heat either, because they see, they don't want to smoke. So so it's real preventative too. It's very preventative. So there's so many upsides to, like, it's so much upside to being in shape and keep yourself together. But yeah, I was totally chasing the ladies at that point, though, Steve.
I love it. Here's the crazy thing though, right? Like, my most in shape moments of life, all the guys give me the compliments. Like, it's a thing, and you know what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah,
oh, nice shoulders,
yeah,
man. Like,
man.
like, oh, you're pushing around some heavy weight. Like, no, I didn't want you to say that. Like, I was looking for, now it's like, I want my wife to say like, hey, nice
Yeah.
arms, and I'm like, man. But anyways, it on that, and then we'll move past this health thing a little bit. But I had listened to a podcast I don't know, 3, 4 weeks ago, and they were interviewing a sexual predator who went after children.
Mm.
And I'm like, all right, like just intrigued. This guy chose his victims based upon how much authority or how scary the father was or was not. And I'm like, that was a layer extra of no matter what, like I got a 14-year-old daughter, right? She is my world, she is my mini me, but she's a 115-pound 14-year-old girl. Like I need to look scary as can be to make sure nobody thinks twice. Like you said, like people look at you as like magically, I'm like, I got more tattoos now. Like I'm gonna look really scary. But like it you are right around how people perceive you out in public and in a very serious sense. Like this guy literally in jail, like he was like, oh yeah, that dad's not threatening, I'll go do some dumb shit. And it's like, yeah, no, I'm going to look as threatening as possible. And I'm also going to find a lot of friends that look even more threatening to me now, like just to make sure we're all on the same page here.
Nah, it's legit. I had when my son is 18, he just moved on to college, but my daughter is 16. When both of them were doing sports, he was running track and she was doing volleyball. I would always be at their games, and I would hear that all the time. Jordan's friends would be like, "You're Jordan's dad." The boys, "You're Jordan's dad." They'll tell Jordan, I'm gonna mess with your dad. like that, and that permeates. Like those boys know what's up. Like I'm not playing around. My kid is off limits. Y'all keep it moving. But this one right
Yeah.
here, like I'm her dad. Like so, it's definitely validity to that because again, people are always watching you. Like,
Yeah.
that's just the society we are in. People admit to they people watch. So there are always people paying attention. And yes, they're going predators. Of course, they're going for the weakest in the flock. I mean, unfortunately, that just makes sense.
Yeah. It's the animals. Every show you ever watch about a lion hunting down a deer, they're not going for the strongest deer that's the farthest away. They're going for the weakest one that's the closest.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, well, cool, man. As we transition out of that, and like I don't know, at some point in time, you and I are working out together somewhere in a gym. It's gonna
I
happen.
love it,
I'm
Steve.
telling
That'll
you that.
work.
Just 2 hours, jam out, have some fun, and then go get some nice breakfast and just jam away on some business. That's gonna happen one day. But
Absolutely.
moving from there, let's jump over to the wealth side of the world a little bit, right? Like, I know for me, money when I was younger, I grew up poor. I grew up in a double wide trailer, mother drug addict, all these things, and money was I just never understood it. My father just made sure things were taken care of, and that poor mentality I grew up with, the oh well, forget the rich people, they suck, and I'm going to fall in line and try to save all my money. And now as I'm hitting this point in life, learning about money and how money works, and it's like last year I went to an event, and this year I fortunately get to be a speaker in the same mastermind with these really smart people. This guy's like, oh yeah, interest rate is different than the rate of interest. And I'm like, what do you mean? Like, I don't even understand what you're saying. And he did the math. I still can't appropriately recite it back, but we all think of maybe a mortgage, and it's like 3 to 8%, depending upon when you got your mortgage over the past 10 years. And it's not really 3 or 8% or anywhere number in between. It's significantly higher because you buy a house for 500 grand, you're really paying $900,000 on that house to own it with all the interest.
Right.
And as I just think Americans, and just as we were raised, our parents, our generation, and how they taught us, just plus the differences of money from now and 30, 40 years ago, that stuff is blowing my mind these days. Just the how uneducated I really am. And I think like I have a leg up. But like talk to me about your world, your money world, the thing that interests you in there. Like what path do you go down to make yourself smarter? What's interesting you in that realm today?
Well, yeah, that's interesting because our backgrounds are pretty similar. I had a wavery childhood. One minute we were in a middle class neighborhood. Next minute, once my parents separated, it was poverty. It was a whole lot around that, and paying attention to it's what you said. The educational system that we're all brought up in, it just talks about basic math. It doesn't talk about finances. It doesn't. It's not extensive enough to talk about things that I experienced in the world of entrepreneurship. So post college, I mean, fortunately for me, I went to grad school for business. So I had a higher level of understanding of exactly how things worked in the world that I would become, pretty good in. At the same time, I really do also think that the smartest thing that we can do now with all of this technology at our fingertips is to continuously educate ourselves. So when I really started learning, for instance, one of the pillars of my wealth is the stock market. I was in the stock market, well, like early 2000s. And the way I learned was I decided that listen, I couldn't afford a broker, but I did have maybe five or $10,000, so I wanted to learn on my own. So at that moment, Fidelity Investments, they were actually saying, okay, listen, if you have $5,000, you can open an account and you can invest in your own positions on the stock market. That's how I learned. I started watching CNBC religiously every single morning, and I still do it. Every morning, I just wanted to understand what the stock market was about. Like, what were those scrolling numbers at the bottom? I just really wanted to know, like, how do you invest in a company? And once I started learning and understanding, like, things like Apple, okay, the share's worth $40, so that's how much a share is. I started to educate myself, and then I started to actually put it into practice. So I invested that $5,000 in a couple of positions, understanding what diversity means, diversify your portfolio. So I started just playing around with a small amount of money. And over, 2 decades now, I understand the market very well and I can manage my own portfolio. So my point there is I did it myself, right? I think that's what it takes now because with all the technology we have around us, AI, Chat GPT, you can literally now start to ask the right questions, prompt these systems for the right questions. It will give you a legitimate amount of information as a base. And then you could build from that. Because the system, again, that our kids are going to be given isn't a system that's going to produce wealth. That's just basically like my kid, he's in IT, cybersecurity. They have him the computations that he's doing, like, I'm like, we don't use that in the real world. It's IT appropriate, but I mean, he's going to know calculus and everything else, but that's nothing to do with finances.
Yeah.
So I had to put him a real quick trick I learned, right? I have a black card. I put him on my black card 3 years ago. Now his credit score is 758. Now I'm like, Bryce, what's 758? Like, what is that? What's the average credit score? So again, I'm taking it upon myself now. I have to teach the things to my kid if I want him to really be an expert at understanding how to build wealth. I have to show him the things that are going to be outside the system because I already know those things aren't being taught to these kids.
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, I'm jealous that you learned about the stock market like 20 years ago, but you were like 40 then basically, so I get it. Geez. Um I only really started paying attention to stock market like 3 4 years ago,
Uh-huh.
and I actually last year took a course on how to actually trade, like day trading and swing trading. So now I can short the stock market. I understand what that actually means. I get it. Like, I can make money when the market goes down and when the market goes up. Like,
Mm-hmm.
today we're recording this. Jerome Powell gave his speech and interest rates and all that stuff. And at 2:30, I knew the stock market was going to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And at like 3 o'clock, it started to run up pretty hard.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh, I was able to actually do that thing. But it has been like 14 months of beating my head against a wall. But I can guarantee you that for the next 14 plus years, that skill set is going to pay massive dividends because now I get it. And I'm really bad at it, technically speaking, compared to some. But I think knowing the stock market is great. And most people, they have their money managers, they throw the money at them and they're like, yeah, I got my 4% interest, I got my 6% interest, it's great. And fine, but when you know the stock market grows 8 to 10% a year on average over a long enough period of time, like consistently it has hit that mark all the time in history. Well, maybe you might look back and go like, my 5 6% ain't that great. um and it helps you open your eyes. Now you have to be committed, you have to learn, you have to be willing to lose, because that's just the way it is. But I think it's just one angle people should spend more time.
Yeah, I mean, because it's definitely a pillar of wealth. I mean, it's one of the greatest economic engines ever created. And it's like you said, you just broke it down brilliantly, because the question then becomes, when you start to learn things, that broker is making a certain percentage off of your funds regardless, right? So I'm
Yep.
not really sure a broker always has your best interest in mind. And again, that's your money at the end of the day that they're winning or losing. You should definitely have a clear understanding of exactly where your money is being invested at a minimum. Because again, everybody doesn't have the free time to focus on the market. Because as we already know, it's pretty in depth. It can be stock market. You can become wealthy, but you can also be broke. Like you can lose your shirt. I lost my shirt a couple. I've lost
you,
hundreds of thousands of dollars in that market trying to time it. Like it's
you
horrible.
will lose lots of shirts
Yeah,
when you're trying to learn. You will lose lots of
you will
shirts.
lose lots of shirts. So I mean, it's not for the weak at heart, right? So that's what we're saying. But you really should, if you're really committed to long term wealth, you just have to be a player in that game. It's just no
Yeah.
getting around it.
No, and understanding it, at least holding your people accountable to some of those numbers, like that stuff becomes key. I was fortunate in my first business I opened, I had clients who were C-suite employees of, multi tens, millions, hundreds million dollar companies. And I was able to just ask like finance questions when I was pretty young. And one of the clients, he had said to me, "Oh, my favorite thing about finance is the rule of 72." And I was like, "I don't know what that is, but okay." He's like, "Yeah, if you divide the interest you're making into 72, so let's take 12, for example, 12 goes into 72 six even times, that tells you how many years it'll take to double your money."
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Oh, so instead of looking at my like $5 dividend payment or interest payment that's super unmotivating, let me not care about that and like how quickly can I double my money?"
Right.
And when you start thinking about that and you're like, "All right, well, I wonder if I can find 72% interest somewhere and double it in 1 year." The answer is yes. You got to be able to stomach it. You're going to have to learn it and you have to figure it out. And I'm not saying chase down 72%, but the reality is those things do exist. And you just got to your point, know with especially AI today, like what questions to ask and where to look.
Yeah, we're at a pivotal part in society in general. We have this level of automation that's transpiring now. Some of us are fortunate enough to see the internet come along. Now AI is definitely a game changer. I don't think anybody should underestimate it. And my point there is we're now privy to so much information, data, that it's really about your game plan, honestly. So you can learn almost anything about everything just through the systems that are right in our hands every day. So it's
Yeah.
it's it's, it's definitely incumbent. It's the person's now is their priority to, like, if you have something that you want to achieve, then you just have to put the time in and put the focus in and be consistent.
Yeah. Do the reps, put the reps in and
Same thing.
you'll
You're right.
eventually get it
There you
there.
go.
So, well, let's get over to that other pillar here. And I think about relationships and I think about, and that vast, like, entrepreneurship, relationships, leadership, like that's a big fun bucket that I love being in, right? Like my leadership thing is the stuff I love to talk about. But you're an entrepreneur. You mentioned you do a bunch of things. You obviously do some speaking. You wrote a book. Like, talk to me about the world of entrepreneurship as you see it. And we're all entrepreneurs with AI now. Like, I got to imagine you have some fun acronym that you've like made your own thing or something. Like, I'm just curious what that is because it's just a cornerstone of what we all got today. So let's jump in there.
Yeah, well, I mean, entrepreneurship is everything to me. It's giving me a level of freedom on so many levels that I would never be able to pay it back. I'm just incredibly appreciative every day. This environment that I'm in definitely can be challenging. So you have to be built for entrepreneurship. So I see a lot out there now where people feel like, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur. Again, I try to tell a lot of people I could either make you money or I could save you some money. And to be in my realm, you definitely have to be a shark. You have to be a man eater. Like, this is not a friendly sport over here, people. You don't become successful overnight, and it's very everything I've ever done has been incredibly competitive. So if you don't have the mental fortitude, meaning that you have to be able to create your own lane, perseverance, focus, dedication, never understanding failure is just failure. It's so what? Like, I failed. Okay, getting right back up, right back at it. Like, if that's not in your DNA and that's not how you're built, you really don't want to step in my lane because it's ongoing. I'm dealing with that every day. You have to be a problem solver. You have to be able to find resolution. And it's like you said, you have to build an incredible network of people that know more than you do. Like, that's my problem with the person at the top right now. Nobody can tell him anything, right? He knows everything. And I look at that and I'm like, that's impossible. This is why we have a cabinet in that position. You surround yourself with the smartest people that are smarter than you, and that helps you grow. I don't want yes people around me. That's a recipe for disaster. So if I come up with a badass idea, somebody's like, yeah, boss, that works. I'm like, what? Like, what the hell? That's just horrible. Like, anytime every person that I know that's been successful, they build a network of people that are incredibly smart, way smarter than them, that they can consult with. I need people that I can talk to, pick up the phone in real estate, and I can go, man, I'm in a jam. I didn't see this coming, and get really good advice. I
Yeah.
I love the fact that I can be vulnerable, but also I feel like I definitely have command over everything that I do. And I think that level of flexibility has helped me become successful because, I don't see barriers. I just see challenges. And I
Yeah.
always feel like as long as I'm focused on what I want to achieve, then at some point I'm pushing right through it.
Yeah, there's barriers, there's challenges, there's all those things, and we're entrepreneurs, so we're gonna whimsically call them opportunities to learn, and everything. But we all have a different journey, so we've all learned different things, and life has gotten hard for different reasons at different times that we've all had to overcome. And just you and I are two successful people for very different reasons. We have such an opportunity to learn from each other that I think other people forget about it. And you mentioned, like, admittedly, I voted for Trump, but I'm very much like a pro money business mindset. But it's also one of those things where on the other side of that vote, there's also the I know he's going to embarrass me and say some dumb shit. I know he's going to do things that I disagree with because both sides do. Like, I am by far not one of the people that's all the way off to one of the sides. I am socially, I identify very much as more of a Democratic side of things. Fiscally, I'm way more Republican. And I think a lot of people generally have that mindset. And it's like, the dumb shit he does, I'm just like, did you ask anybody? Like, I don't know. And there's the saying, it's an African proverb. If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go
I
together.
like that.
And that's something that has always stuck with me, where, like, yeah, I got to go and I got to fly out of the gates quick to get to where I want to go. But I'm like, the end of that gate is, like, to liken it to something else. It's only my quarter mile of my 1 mile run. At a quarter mile, I got to pick up my people so we can keep pushing through, because I have no idea how to finish that last 3/4 mile all by myself without some of the help and without the other people to pick me up when I fall down. And
Right.
that's what so many people forget about, the man up top included. So,
Yeah, and
but
I think when we look at this current environment, I think for minorities like myself, what's disheartening is I'm really cool with the politics of people voting for who they want to vote for. If you ask me, again, I've been here since I watched Reagan, I watched the Bushes, I watched the Obamas. Marginally did any of those parties move the ball. They moved in the increment towards, again, their focus of their party. But
yeah,
at the end of the day, were they game changers, life changers? I've never really subscribed to that. It's just that with this new situation with him, it's this all of this dialing back and this division that he's actually constantly
yeah,
hammering. Like, when all my Republican friends, again, I truly, again, like you said it. You and I are the same. Fiscally, I could totally roll with the Republicans. I wanted smaller government, less taxes. I hate writing those big ass checks. So let's stop it, people. Like, there are certain things that I totally have always said, yeah, I get that. I understand that part. But I think like when people see what's happening right now, it feels like this rollback and this dismantling of a system, which is starting to concern me, and it's kind of scary because I've watched politicians come along, and yes, again, they shifted. Again, Biden was incredibly extreme when it came to, the Dems party. And again, I watched Republicans, they push their own agenda. But this feels like, again, like the way they're even going about government, just crashing, knocking everything down, and we'll figure it out later. It just feels crazy, unorganized. It feels really like just mean. And then like the thing with Trump that concerns me the most is like he's always testing how far he can push things, right? So
Mm-hmm.
with that recent situation with those, again, criminals being extracted, the judge said he didn't know what type of criminals they were. But again, nobody's going to go against Trump on deporting a bunch of El Salvadorian MS-13s or whatever they were. Nobody's pushing back against that. Of course not. And they knew that. But the question was when the judge told them and he presented an order and he told you what to do, it's how they went around going around saying this is why we didn't do it. Like, you just can't do that because that now you're dealing with the pillars of society. When you're not
Yeah,
listening to a judge,
yeah.
that
Wasn't
makes
it
us all
some
concerned.
wasn't it some rule from like the 1700s
Yeah,
they cited or something like that?
some obscure rule from way back that nobody had ever heard of, and the El Salvadorian president laughing, talking about ha ha ha, it's too late once he had them in their possession, and you're just kind of going. It felt like again Trump is testing how far can he push this system, which again for me. Everybody that saw him on two, everybody that saw 1.0. That's why I agree with you, Steve. You knew what you were getting.
Yeah.
Everybody knows Trump. Trump is going to do what Trump does. He's a disruptor. That is honestly his. He's a disruptor. I really really love that part of the Republican Party that really is like shake it up. But
Mm-hmm.
then it just as a minority we go. Did you know he was going to do this? That's the only thing we're asking. We're like, bro, if you voted for him and you knew he was going to do this, then I
Yeah.
don't know if we could be friends, because this right here is kind of aggressive.
I can't stand from any of them, and Trump especially, and everybody who's on the extreme of both sides is just the wedge driving
Thank
between
you.
stuff. Like it's one of those things where like it should be weird for you and I to hop on here and talk in certain people's eyes because clearly one of us is not black. And it's like, so it's like, and I hate that stuff because like who gives a shit? You're an entrepreneur. You're from the East Coast. We go out, we solve some business problems. I don't care the color of your skin. I'm jealous because you look freaking younger. And things like that. You can probably stand the sun a little bit better than I can because I turn red as red can be. But like, who gives a shit?
Thank
And
you.
like, that's the stuff that drives me nuts. Like, that should not matter. Those things should not matter. It
Right.
should never make the news. But in order for it to be a thing, you have to put it there and all that. It's like I don't watch the news anymore because I'm tired of that dumb stuff.
Yeah. It's too all of that division. Like that's just not what this country is about. Again, I don't. The politics is let again. The Republicans won. Them y'all had to figure out why they wiped the floor with y'all, right? Because I'm pretty
Correct.
much like an independent now. So figure out why you caught an ass whooping and come back. So the politics of it, I don't care about. It's again, I really, it's exactly what you said, Steve. The moment you said that you grew up in a certain area in poverty, I automatically connected with you because I'm like, I remember you took me right back to when I was a kid and what I
Yeah.
went through. Again, there's so much more commonality between us versus going so rudimentary black and white. Like, come on, we've dealt with that decades ago. That's all what it is. We've already had a black president. Everybody knows we can all come together. Unity is what this country is about. Please, man, it's just like this. Start with all the division. Red states, blue states. It's not helpful. If
Yeah.
you won, you won. Implement your policies, your rules. People voted for you. You get it. You won. That's what winning is about. So everybody that's complaining, stop crying. We lost. we lost, right? But at the same time, I think that all leaders have a responsibility to push our society forward. That's all I'm saying. Like right now, it feels like we're getting torn down. Like, and that's not cool.
Mhm.
It's like we
Yeah,
always, United States of America is always about all of us get to move forward. All
yeah,
of us get to move forward. That's how it's been since I've been on this planet. And it's just for the first time, it feels like, yeah, it feels, this feels different. You
yeah.
know?
It's definitely a little bit odd, you know. And I think the thing you alluded to in the beginning, the presidents are the presidents. They're going to do their thing. The parties are the parties. They're going to do their thing. At the end of the day, like I would say, the message from this that I at least I want everybody to hear: you are still in control of your future.
Agreed.
And there are things and decisions they make that are going to change the trajectory a little bit. But if you're poor and you change nothing, you're going to stay
There
poor.
you go.
If you're rich and you do some dumb shit, you're going to get poor.
Yep.
So, like, we all still have that control to go do what we want to do if we're willing to put the work, take the time, learn the thing. If you have access to the internet, there is no reason you can't elevate a skill and change the way that you're living, is kind of the thing that I just out of all of it. Like, hey, think about that. Yeah, Trump's doing some dumb shit that I don't like. Biden did dumb shit that I didn't like. Like, everybody's done things that we don't like. They all did some things that I did like,
Yep.
but it's on me to go win. So,
That's how I know you're an entrepreneur, though, Steve. See, because we no, because we take responsibility for ourselves when it's all said and done. That's
gotta.
what I learned from poverty, right? I was like, I'm not going to remain poor. This is
Yeah,
not my family's not going to experience what I experienced. So at the end of the day, I took the challenge and said, this is what my life is going to look like. So, like you said, yeah, you're going to have externals making rules, blah blah blah, but your day to day life is your responsibility, and nobody can control those outcomes. Only you control those outcomes. And most entrepreneurs, that's how we think.
100% agree. So as we're nearing the time crunch here and everything, man, I would love for you to break down the book a little bit. Writing that, like, I'm in the midst of writing a book, and it is a love-hate relationship with that art form. I'll say, I know on the other side it's going to be an amazing thing, and I can't wait to get there.
Hmm.
But so just talk to me about that a little bit, and literally when I get off this call, I'm ordering the book so I have it.
Yeah, hiding in plain view. That you what you just said just now resonates though, Steve, because it was a challenge. I actually started writing that book 10 years ago, and then like life happened, and I had made it through like 3 or 4 chapters, and life happened. I sat it on my desk, but then I met somebody at a college reunion, and she started talking to me about it, and I was like, "Hey, listen, I got to wrap up this book." And the book is basically an autobiography of my life, and the crux of it is I was raised. And again, I've had a whole lot of ups and downs, but at one juncture in my life, I was in a middle class neighborhood, probably maybe like 8 or 9 years old. My mom was trying to get back on her feet. We're in a pretty nice middle class neighborhood. I have a few friends that I basically started to hang around a lot. And out of boredom, we just decided that we wanted to get involved with criminal activity. And as we became immersed in that world, we started, a lot of my friends basically were, they succumbed to what, like things between like drug abuse, incarceration, death. So in that world, I saw a lot of my people uh, go away. But one kid, he rose like a phoenix. He turned his life around, graduated from college, became an entrepreneur, multimillionaire. Yeah, it was definitely a nice track. But yeah, the story is just about, it's honestly, I know all authors believe that they've written a really good story. But I tell you, this story is going to be a movie because it really shows a lot of the challenges that I faced as an individual, where I could have easily just quit, but something in me kept going. And I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my mental fortitude and the ability to try to work around a lot of these issues that try to keep me down. And it's that, I think everybody in the world faces that. I think a lot of times many people want to quit. And you have to find it inside yourself to go, nah, because if I quit, I'm quitting on myself, I'm quitting on my family, I'm quitting on my friends, I'm quitting on God. Like, I can't quit. So that right there, I think I did a really good job at creating examples around those challenges that I face. And I think that it's an incredibly inspirational story. So if you have a chance to go out and buy Hiding in Plain View by Marcel Clarke, I promise you, it's on every medium from Amazon or audiobooks. My people have that book everywhere for a reason. Go buy the book. I promise you, you won't be let down.
I'm buying the book. My next plane ride, that is going to be the book that comes with me. So,
Cool.
but yeah, I love that, man. It's whenever I get to speak in front of a room, I always lead off with kind of the story, right? And I think sometimes we don't address the just the negative parts about our lives enough that
Hmm.
that make us truly relatable.
Yeah,
Um, I remember being young and like going to the store with food stamps, like the literal like ones that you ripped out of a
the
book,
old
food
school
stamps, not
ones.
not even a card or anything.
Yeah,
And that stuff changes a person, and being able to talk about that because there's a lot of people that maybe not literally food stamps or literally incarceration or whatever it is, they're going through something.
yeah.
And knowing that, like, wow, if somebody else did it, I should be able to believe in myself to go do it. It's not easy. It's not going to get any easier. Like, it is hard, factually speaking, but it is very possible if it's something that you want.
There you go, man. It's just always believing that you can do it. Because nobody else is going to believe in you. Like our parents believe in us. Yeah, yeah, mom and dad, okay.
Yeah.
But outside
Go
of
do
that,
that lemonade stand. You're going to be a billionaire when you're 5 years old. Guess what? You weren't a billionaire.
there you go. And everybody else, though, the truth about the world that we live in, everybody else has their own challenges. So they'll listen to you, but they can't change your life for you. Only
Yeah.
you could change your trajectory. So you have to believe in that and kind of like get after it every day. It's like you open with time is very important, right? But time also compounds. So if every single day you getting after your dream, trust me, one day once you achieve it, you look back and you go, yeah, it was worth it.
100%. Well, Marcel, man, I've had a great time getting to chat with you. We're definitely going to chat more, outside of this. But that all said, if somebody wants to find you, where's the best place to go? Social media, go to a website. Like, what does that look like so people can just say, hey?
Yeah, the easiest way to find me is marcelclarke.co. So MarcelClarke.co. Yeah, I didn't get the com, y'all. My people couldn't grab the com. But it's still an incredibly nice website and it shows you everything, all my companies, my books. I host a channel myself. So like just look me up, check me out, but it'll get you to find me easily.
All right. Love it. We'll definitely link that. But again, for all of you listening in, listen, you're going through something. I don't care how good everything is. Like, take this story, just go read that book, and just some of these tidbits and things that we could pull out of this conversation today and realize you just got to dig in. You got to learn the thing that you don't grasp just yet. And you can go turn it around. It ain't easy, but it's very possible. And that's the big thing. Marcel, I appreciate the time. I know everybody listening definitely got some value out of this. So that's the most important thing here. And thank you for that, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Steve. You the man.